Greetings. I'm going live again this morning. Y'all have to excuse me. I guess I'm just outdoing myself, but I have a lot on my mind this morning. You know, a lot of people are talking about we have a black person that's running for governor of the state of Georgia by the name of STACEY ABRAMS. With all due respect, I believe that she is not the best person I want to be governor of the state of Georgia. But considering the sorry record of Secretary of State Brian P. KEMP, she is the best candidate that's running. And so I don't approve of her nor the Democratic Party for ignoring black elected officials here in the state of Georgia. I have proven that over and over again that there is a white pattern in practice to stop the black vote and to remove black elected officials from office. Now, the reason I know this is because I have seen it, I have documented it, and I know that there is a pattern and practice to discount blacks. Now, you who are in the North Georgia area may disagree with this black man down south. Let me say this to you. I can prove this to CNN and Victor Blackwell. In fact, I have invited Victor Blackwell to walk with me or check out my YouTube channel, Boston G.B.R, and witness what I'm talking about. The Secretary of State, Brian P. KEMP, and his all-white State Board of Elections board have brought blacks up on charges, voter fraud, that was more bogus than the invisible pyramid that was never built in the Giza Plateau. So I want to leave you short form by saying to Miss STACEY ABRAMS, a black woman, I believe, if you want to win the governorship of the state of Georgia, you must get on a horse, a mule, or an old-fashioned sled and ride through rural Georgia and encourage these black people who have been ignored, mistreated, and removed from office, and nobody came to their rescue. The Atlanta Journal and Constitution would not connect the dots. MSNBC could care less based upon their lack of action. ABC, NBC, CBS, Nightline, Dateline, 43 Seconds have all failed to connect the dots. How they are intimidating blacks in Georgia. Start in Brooks County with the Quitman 10+2. Remove some of the best black people from office. Denigrated them. Secretary of State Brian P. KEMP sent his white investigators down to terrorize those people in Brooks County. And don't take my word for it. Go to Quitman and ask Dr. Nancy Dennett. I said Dr. Nancy Dennett. They go in these communities and they get the best qualified, the best educated, the most respected black people and try to tear them apart to put fear in other black folks so they would not even vote, let alone assist anybody else at the poll who cannot understand the voting machine. Wait a minute. Google the Quitman 10+2. Then I'm gonna back up this time. I normally go around through May, but let's go northeast to Douglas, Georgia, and see what they have done to Commissioner Olivia Coley Pearson. Took her to court, and the judge Andrew Spivey, the district attorney Sam Sansock, look and see what they did to that woman, and then a jury. Wait a minute, before they got to a jury, she first had a mistrial. There was 5 people brought up on charges, voter fraud charges. 2 of them was white. They bowed out. Then a big, heavy-set black guy, he bowed out. When he said he would fight, he bowed out. They took us to New Orleans, down Louisiana. We went down there to collectively gather what they were doing to vote black voters across the nation. But Olivia Collis Pearson was the only one that stood up. And now she was, wait a minute, her first trial was a mistrial. Her second trial, they cleared her of all charges. And now, go to City of Douglas website. That's the City of Douglas. And see what how they're trying to denigrate her. Look at the Douglas Now newspaper. Yeah, let me say that. The Douglas Now newspaper. Look and see what they're doing against her now. Any black man, any black woman, any black child who will stand up for right and righteousness for the black man and white people and Latinos, they are under attack. I call it a pattern and practice. And so now as I leave you this morning, Stacey Abrams, go to Meigs, Georgia, into the rural areas, people who have vowed that they would never vote for the Democratic Party because how the Democratic Party have mistreated black people and ignored them in their greatest hour of need. Go to Sylvester. They shot that black man in the street. Not shot him, forgive me. They didn't shoot him. The police officer ran over him, then backed over him again. And I met with them because they called me. And there's a group of black people in Georgia that say they will not vote again for the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party, under the chairman of the state of Georgia, DuBose Porter, have not set foot once in Quitman, to my knowledge. Haven't set foot. Not even one time. And so now why should black people vote for the Democratic Party? Now we're going to end up, most of us, voting for the Democratic Party, but it's not because they have earned our vote. We're doing it because, Minister Louis Farrakhan, yeah, I love Minister Farrakhan. Y'all can hate him, but I don't. I love anybody to speak truth. Minister Farrakhan said, too often the black man don't even have a choice. He either vote for the devil or he vote for Satan. Either way, we end up in hell. Isn't it strange how back in the days of old, our pastors and imams and rabbis used to stand up in the black community on the issues that made a difference for our children and coming generation. But today it's like in the days of old. We can't hear no voices coming out of the black community. They can talk about, you can't beat them talking about this man called Jesus of Nazareth. They want you to get to heaven, but they don't want you to get out of poverty. They don't want you to get some of the CDBG grants that's coming into the town. They don't want you to get any of that money. They don't want you to get none of the good jobs at City Hall or at the Board of Commissioners. They don't want you to go to a Board of Education meetings and to the city school board. And they don't want you to go there because they don't go. And what's so sickening and disgraceful to me, it makes my heart bubble in reverse order. They have ministers and pastors that come pray at city council meeting and they give a little 3-minute prayer, then they leave. Can you ever hear such a thing? They don't even give a damn about the action that's taking place. It's embarrassing, especially for a black preacher, to go to a meeting, then he got to go. I've never seen one sit through the whole meeting. Very few. I could count them on one hand. And these people got so much God. I want to thank the people of Douglas for electing 2 people that I know of that are black and standing up. 2 standing up and 2 are sitting down. In fact, sometimes you don't even see them. Not by the issues that confront the black community. And the truth must be told so the lies can be exposed. Black man, we need you to stand up today. Everywhere I go, and I go to a lot of cities, and it's the black woman that's standing up. Everywhere I go, I see black women standing up by themselves. Can't find a black man nowhere that will stand up. Every time they get in office, they dash on you. They take that purple pill, and they ain't black no more. Now, I'm not talking about you just representing black folk, but you got to be black before you can represent anybody else, because Jesus said, if a man, I'm talking to the pastor now, if a man does not provide for for his own house, then he's worse than an infidel. So if the preachers, I'm not calling the preachers infidel, but if your house is being torn apart, if your house cannot get blacks employed in positions of authority, if you can't find to put a majority on your city council in a community that is over 51% or 67 or 85% black, and you can't find a majority black qualified people to put on city council, then you're not providing for your own house, and your actions or your lack of action makes you worse than an infidel. Y'all excuse me if I get a little loud. I don't hate you all. I love you because we came out of the same experience. Now you ask me, how do I know the pastors are afraid and scared as hell of heaven? You see, I used to be one of those pastors. No, not pastor. I was offered a church. I wouldn't take it. I failed on my way to the bus station. I'm going to close, y'all. Hey, y'all have a nice day, and I want to thank you all for tuning in, and for you who will watch this when I put it up, and I will be putting it up. Stacey Abrams, I say to you again, my beautiful sister, I doubt you're going to win as governor unless you come to these small towns, because I'm traveling these small towns. And it's these little cities, the rural areas that the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, have made them feel so bad and so insignificant. And they don't think nothing's going to change. Some people have gone to jail. Some of them are in prison now. The people in these communities stood up with these black elected officials, most of them Democrats. But the Democratic Party didn't even come say boo. Mr. DeBose Porter. And Mr. DeBose Porter, you know I've sent you videos. You know all about what I've done in Gordon, Georgia. What I've done in Warrington, Georgia with George Ivey. The circuit court judge up there in Toombs County got me on the permanent criminal trespass. No. Not criminal trespass. He banned me from 7 counties there because I want you to know the truth. And because I recorded in the courtroom and he didn't like it, he banned me. I don't talk about it much, but I'm gonna come and let you know about him too. I'm on a 5-year criminal trespass down here in Lowndes County, Georgia, because I love you. I'm one retired military veteran that is not as scared as hell like a lot of our veterans. A lot of active duty people can't speak. Disabled veterans can't speak. No, man, they can go put their life on the line in the wars for this nation. And when they get back and see their own mother being beaten down as she wanted to be the mayor of these cities, and these veterans who carried the M16 and AK-47, they can't even say boo. Yet they were willing to die for this nation. How can I sit down and got children and grandchildren and coming generations and even my siblings' children, and I'm just gonna sit and don't say nothing? I see some people going overseas to, like Oprah Winfrey, and I don't buy. She do what she want with her money, but you can't help the people who are fighting here in America to make things better. Got to go way overseas, and one day we may have to fight those people in war. They may be black people, but if the white man tell us to go fight and kill them, we'll go. And you over there helping them, but you can't help the black people right here in America. I'm not going to say you sick. You need to see a doctor first. I'm not going to say you're sick, but I'm pretty sure after you check your doctor out, your doctor going to tell you that you're sick. I already know it. Because Jesus gave me the serum to understand it. And what was that serum, Mr. George Boston Ryan from Brooks County, a little small southern town? What is that serum? If a man does not provide for his own house, he's worse than an infidel. Greetings. This is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines. And I just would like to say to the nation, concerning the firestorm in America now, that unless you are of the same political persuasion, then something is wrong with you. In other words, You're crazy. You're stupid. You are satanic. If you are not a Democrat like me, or if you're not a Republican like me, then something is wrong with you. You know, that's the flavor across America today, and it bothers me when I see the commander-in-chief of our armed forces seem to be very divisive. That means that if Democrats are so stupid, or if Republicans are so stupid, if Republicans are so smart over Democrat and vice versa, then why do we have Democrats and Republicans serving in the armed forces together, training together, willing to die for this country together? We have doctors who are Democrats and Republicans. Should Democrats just go to a Democratic doctor? Or should a state patrol only give tickets to a Republican if he's a Democrat, or if he's a Democrat only to Republicans? If you have a mother that's a Democrat and you're a Republican, do you call her all these dirty names? If you have a brother that comes to a family gathering and all you can do is hate on them, how sickening can that be? Or if you get an accident and you have to go to the emergency room, should you just be treated by Republicans? Should you just wait for a Republican doctor, or just wait for a Democrat doctor before you get treatment? You know, we have to think today, or the forces of evil will destroy not only our country, but it will destroy us individually. So I want to say to you today, I just want to close, just food for thought. As you hear President Donald Trump speak in terms of Democrats and Republicans, and he seems to speak more ill of Democrats than any president in the history of our nation. And we all who are retired from the military, I'm retired, and I know that it takes all of us to win the wars for this nation. It takes all of us to go down and rescue the people that was devastated by Katrina, by Hurricane Florence and Hurricane Michael. And when they got in the rescue mode, Democrats didn't just help Democrats, and Republicans just didn't help Republicans. Green Party didn't just help Green Party, and independents didn't just help independents. And could it be that God is sending hurricanes and storms and tornadoes to America to show those who are divisive and full of hate and venom for people who do not think like them? To show us that if we can come together in time of war or natural disasters, why cannot we come together for the good of our nation and deal in who possess the greatest truth, the greatest idea, the greatest wisdom? Let us act upon that. You who are religious and righteous and holy before the God of creation, you had better wake up and stop being quiet while the forces of Satan control every aspect of your life in terms of how you speak, how you believe, and how you hate and how you love. Do you just supposed to hate Democrats? Do you just supposed to love Republicans? and vice versa. I pray to God that we are greater than that. I have Democratic friends. I had Democrats in the military. I had Republican friends. I had Green Party, and I still do. And I don't criticize them just because they don't believe like me. I don't say they want big government, small government, etc., etc. Where, hell, the black man came to these countries, we didn't even have big government or little government. We didn't have no government. You who are for gun rights, the black man didn't have no rights. Couldn't even own a gun. You say you believe in the right for life and family values. The black man can educate the American people about that. You didn't respect our families. You didn't care about family values then. And we can tell by the way you talk, many Americans, you don't care about family values today. That is only a cover for you. Well, you all have a nice day. I know most of you won't listen to this. This serves little purpose to you, and it's all okay. But I do know that the righteous love right talk. And the thing about it, we don't have to worry about who is of God and who is of Satan. All you have to do is watch the fruits that fall from their tree. I keep saying that. And it seems as if though now people are accepting a lie for the truth and truth for a lie. And they're confused. But we who carry the Ark of the Covenant of this dispensation, we are not confused. We understand the forces of wickedness and the forces of evil. For the Bible tells us that heaven and earth would pass away, but my word will stand forever. That means that if you have hate, envy, jealousy, strife, fornication, adultery, etc., etc., then we know you, and we know your tree. You don't trick us, man. Not even for a second. You can smile and tell us you love us. But we know the truth. We know the truth. So don't worry about people when they tell you a lie and then they tell you this is the truth. And they'll tell you it's fake news. Some of us are not going to accept it because we have eyes to see. Look here, this may sound like foolishness to you, but I'm here to say to you that God would not have us ignorant, brothers and sisters in America. They can call right and righteousness and truth fake news all they want. But there's one thing about it. When truth comes, freedom comes. And if you are not free, if you are not totally free, then you rest assured that somebody have lied to you in the name of truth. If you don't have full citizenship rights, that is the right to vote without impediments, etc., 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 you're not free, man. You got a long way to go. This is the Get To Free Press. I'm George Boston Rhymes, and I talk like this because I love you just that much. Bye-bye. We go. Once again, to Get To Free Press, I'm in Valdosta, Lowndes County, Georgia, and I noticed in the Valdosta Daily Times on page 5A they have something called Court and Crimes. Court and Crimes. I think this is a great approach to keep the people informed on the type of crimes that are committed here in the city and county. And in addition to this, I wish that they would also put the court calendar in the Valdosta Daily Times, so we would know when the court cases are coming up, so we can go and see how these judges and these attorneys operate in the courtroom. So in the future, to the citizens of Valdosta, Lowndes County, why don't you try to find out why if they can put the courts and crime in the paper, why not the court calendars? And maybe they want to do it every 3 weeks so the people will know. They probably won't go to court, but I think it'll be a nice gesture. Y'all have a nice day, and once again, 2 thumbs up for all the good people of the state of Georgia, and to all those who serve in the United States Armed Forces. Peace be unto you. Bye-bye. We go. Greetings, this is George Buster Rhymes, the Get Two Free Press, sitting down at McDonald's having a cup of coffee on a Monday morning. And I just want to say greetings to all of my friends and the people who hit me up on Facebook. I want you to know that I love you. But above all, I'm just sitting here chilling, and I want you to know that I'm not talking about anyone. I'm not downing anyone. I'm thanking the divine source for keeping me aware and familiar with what's going on in my world. And before I left out this morning the house, I didn't know what to put in my hand, and so what I did, I remembered the Nation of Islam back in the days of old, before I could digest the beef of what's going on in the world. And so what I did this morning, short form, I picked up a copy of Message to the Black Man. I have about 4 copies of this book at my house. I used to have a bookstore, and I sold these, and I keep these books around. Every so often I have to go back and read Message to the Black Man. It is a very powerful book. I recommend everybody to get a copy of it. When I was young, I picked this book up, and I never forget, I threw it across the floor because it didn't make no sense to me. But as I see what's going on in this world, around the 80s, I picked it back up again. And so y'all have a nice day. If you get an opportunity, read. This is not my book, but it's a powerful book. Message to the Black Man. Peace be unto you. May God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you. I talk the way I do, and I share with you because I love you just that much. Have a nice day from the woods of South Georgia, Valdosta. Brother Ryan's trying to reach out and touch somebody's life. I know you got a lot of people trying to get you to heaven, but I just want to get you across the street. I just want to get you into a job. I just want you to create your own business. I want to get you into the black businesses wherein black people have created businesses. We would only patronize each other in business. We could get our people up out of the mud tomorrow. And just remember, people set up convenience stores in our communities and will not even return a dime back in our community. And we just go along to get along. And it's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to wake up, y'all. When I was on the radio back in the 70s, I tell you, I tried to give you a balanced diet. At one point, I tried to get you to heaven. But I understood that heaven is tomorrow, but our children need to go to school. They need books. They need pencils. They need right direction. They need hot knowledge. They need to know. So when they go up to go to school, and with all the things that happen in school, they need parents who will address the issues that some of the children are they're too afraid to even talk about it. Peace be unto y'all. Have a nice day. Pick up a book, man. Read something other than the Bible. I was brought up with the Bible, but when I started reading about the books that are associated with the Bible, for instance, and I know people tell you don't read them, but they told me don't read the lost books of the Bible. So first thing I did, I started reading them. I didn't only read the Bible. I picked up other books. The very ones they told me not to read, those are ones I went and picked up, such as the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 books of Moses. I picked up the book of the Maccabees, the book of the Apocrypha. I picked up the book of Jasher. I picked up the book of the Wars of God, the big book of the Knowledge of God, and just so many other books, and books that they took from the book for their own reasons. I read about the Alexandrian Library, wherein 300,000 volumes of black people had collected over these ancient of years, and the Catholic Church went in, took all of those historic documents. They burned some, I'm told. I wasn't told, I've read it. They destroyed a lot of those ancient books, and some of them they took beneath the Vatican. People don't want to talk about it. There are books that our ancestors wrote that we know little to nothing about. We don't know the greatness of who we are as a people. And I can't blame you for that, because I used to be the same way. And I still count myself ignorant. I'm not in a position to tell no because I'm ignorant myself. And I'm smart enough to know I'm ignorant. When I look at what I don't know, I am indeed an ignorant man. I wear a dashiki, the one I have on. I don't know if you can see it or not. But even this dashiki that I'm wearing, if you look at it, you will see this symbol here represents certain things. It represents languages. It represents the bottom of the slave ship. And we wear these things and we don't look at the signs and symbols because nobody's willing to teach us. I hear people often criticizing the Masonic Lodge and the Masons. Well, you can criticize them. I'm a Mason, by the way, but it's not about being a Mason. It's about being a real person that wants knowledge. And when you study the Knights Templars, when you study the Crusades, and when you study the originators, the blacks who wrote the Bible, and then study the Ethiopians, and it's just so much about our heritage is so rich. And sometimes I see people. I got on Facebook this morning and I just watched these grown men, they singing and just moving their bodies and all that look good. But what about somebody that will take the time to try to teach our people something? That's why when I go to church and I hear people sing, but who is willing to give us some good teaching? I know y'all hate Minister Farrakhan, and you hate Elijah Muhammad and Omar Johnson and Ben Yakawin and Henry Clark and Malcolm X. I go back and listen to these people. These were the cornerstones of our community. And if you would just listen, yes, I know Elijah Muhammad was a Muslim, but if we would have listened to that man, we would be better off today. If Elijah Muhammad and if Louis Farrakhan had gotten together, and if Jesse Jackson had gotten together, Martin Luther King had gotten together, rather than fighting one another, the Baptists, the Holy, the Methodist, the Presbyterian, the Catholic, the Jehovah's Witnesses, we all come together and understand that we all in this struggle together. We got the same black skin, we catching the same hell. If you're a Christian, you catching hell. If you're a Muslim, you're catching hell. If you're an ancient Hebrew, black Israelite, you're catching hell. And so why we sit down fighting about, I believe in Jesus, I believe in Jah, I believe in El Shaddai, I believe in whatever, Allah. All these names, the things that people have put out here to divide us and make us fight one another like wild animals. And what I do now is sometimes I go into the woods. I go deep down in the woods so I can get my humanistic mind back and realize that I'm a human being. I get in the forest and I watch the animals. They don't go around just killing each other, slapping each other side the head just for fun and calling each other dirty names and talking about each other. Your head longer than mine. Your teeth is not right. You need to go see a dentist. Animals in the forest just accept one another. Stay out of the way, out of the ones that will eat them up, and they only eat the animals for food. They don't just go along killing them just to see them lie on the street dead. And so, yet we claim to be the high-class animals. If we are the high-class animals, then why can't we stand up and act like it? Today, we are acting like the beasts of the field, and the beasts of the field is acting like the human being that God created, but we have lost our instinct. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is look at it. Have you ever seen an elephant spray and pollute the environment? Have you seen a lion dump chemicals in the ocean where you can't eat the fish? Have you seen the fish of the sea put anything on land that destroy man? All he do what God gave him to do, swim in the water, produce fish and little baby fish, and we eat them up. But look at us. Everything we touch, we want to kill it. We want to control it. We are not even supposed to have to pay for water if you think about it. We should not even have to get driver's license if you think about it. We should not have to do all of these things that they have put restrictions on us. And you got to think about these things. They have made slaves out of us, and I don't care what you say. For instance, Have you ever seen the state patrol give a zebra a speeding ticket and the speed of a zebra is 60 miles an hour? If he can out there and run 60 miles an hour, they don't pull him over and give him no ticket. And so we got all these restrictions they have put on us, and they really have taken away all of our rights. We can't even chew gum in the public now. I mean, it gets on your nerve, but what I'm saying is that we got to wake up today. I went to church one Sunday. Y'all excuse me. Somebody may get mad about this. I ain't going to say it. Y'all have a nice day. Bye-bye. We gone. This is To Get To Free Press, and I'm George Osterines. I'm at Moody Air Force Base at the Base Lake. I'm sitting here and contemplating whether or not I should speak about the picture on the front page of the Valdosta Daily Times for October the 16th, 2018, with the headlines that read, KEMP voter suppression story manufactured. Other words, it's saying that the 53,000 alleged people that have been disenfranchised by the current Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, was a manufactured untruth, I guess. Let me go to the paper, and there it is right there. And I just would like to say to you who are wise enough and smart enough to understand that sometimes there are more than you find in print. So let me talk about something that we know was not manufactured. Okay? Now, first of all, I want to state that Brian P. Kemp had nothing to do with what we call the Madison, Florida 9. That was 9 black people that were brought up on bogus charges for alleged voter fraud in the state of Florida in Madison. And I was called there, and I went and I reported concerning that bogus racial situation. And I'm asking you to Google YouTube Madison, Florida 9 for the rest of the story. I've done the video legwork. I talked to the attorney from Tallahassee. I interviewed them a long time ago. Then we'll move to a place in Brooks County, Georgia that Rachel Maddow spoke of last week about the Quitman 10+2 and how Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, the G.B.R. and Secretary of State Corps of Investigators brought up bogus charges on the Quitman 10+2. I did the homework. I'm asking you not to criticize Brian P. Kemp. I'm asking you to Google the Quitman 10+2 and Miss Lula Smart bogus voter fraud cases. And by the way, men of the Madison, Florida 9 was cleared. All of the Quitman 10+2 was cleared except one. Latasha Head died from the pressures that was thrust upon her, according to her father and others in the Brooks County community. So Google the Quitman 10+2. Then we are moved to Meigs, Georgia, with former Mayor Linda Harris, and how she appealed unto the Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp for assistance from what the news media, the white police chief, and others were trying to do to her to remove her from the office of mayor of that little small majority town. And eventually they did just that. And I must say that the public defender that defended Linda Harris is a disgrace. All you have to do is Google Linda Harris court case and a bogus public defender who did not call one witness, not even her own brother, to testify in her behalf. And of course she was found not guilty. But you have to see the video to understand this white pattern and practice to remove blacks from office and to suppress and put impediments in the way of black voters under the leadership and tenure of Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp. Move on over to Camilla, Georgia, with Mayor Rufus Davis. And to save time, just Google. In fact, you can Google newly elected black mayors meet in Macon, Georgia, because Rufus Davis met along with other black elected officials in Macon. All that was recorded for your consideration. These events in cities that I'm mentioning to you now, they were not manufactured. They were not manufactured. We have real live video about this pattern and practice. Wait a minute. Let's go to Lumpkin, Georgia, with former Mayor Charles Gibson and a white female councilwoman by the name of Debbie Stone called him a nigger, and it was witnessed by a white a white fireman. And I was called over there by a white man to investigate and report what other news media would not. And of course, the rest is now history. And before we leave Lumpkin, Georgia, let me also pick up the city clerk that was overqualified by the name of Naya Williams, I think it is. She was removed from office. She was the best qualified, but they got rid of her, and you can hear her story when you Google Lumpkin playlist. And again, this is under Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp. And I believe that you would enjoy the videos on Boston G.B.R. YouTube channel. Now let's move around to Dawson, Georgia. Former Mayor Christopher Wright, a black man, youngest black mayor, I believe, in the history of Georgia. He was shot 6 times, left in his mother's yard for dead. His neighbor came over and called 911, and he's alive today. All you have to do is Google on YouTube, Dawson, Georgia, Christopher Wright shot. No, not Christopher Wright. Yeah, Christopher Wright shot 6 times. It was later determined in a court of law that the black man that shot him answered to a request for a hit by the city manager, as you will see on the video, Dawson, Georgia playlist. Once again, this is under the tenure of Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, as well as Georgia Attorney General Sam Olens. Many requests were sent out for assistance, but nothing was done. Nothing was done. And this was not a manufactured story. In fact, let me step one step further. The city attorney and the DA, according to the NAACP president there in Dawson, Georgia, you can hear that they would not do what needed to be done to indict. Well, let me put it like this. Don't let me go too far. Just watch the video and ask yourself a question, if you have any brains at all in your head. If all this is true, then why is it that the Atlanta Journal and Constitution did not or has failed to connect the dots from if not Madison, Florida, at least from Brooks County with the Quitman 10, Meigs, Georgia, Linda Harris, Camilla, Mayor, Rufus Davis, Lumpkin, Georgia, Mayor Charles Gibson, and Dawson, Georgia, with Christopher Wright being shot. How could it be that CNN, 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, Dateline, and the rest of the mainstream media not connect the dots to show that what is being done under Brian P. Kemp was not manufactured, but is a real world situation in the state of Georgia that someone apparently do not want the American people to fully understand. Now, wait a minute. I could go further, but no, let me get one more on this side of, on the west side of I-75 before I go to other areas. Let's go to Clayton County. Clayton County with voter suppression and voter intimidation, as one individual presented his case before Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, and I was at the meeting to get to Free Press George Boston Ryans. And I could be lying to you. Yes, I could be lying about what happened before or in the presence of the Secretary of State. But if you Google Clayton County and Secretary of State meeting in Macon, Georgia, you will be able to see the video where a candidate running for state office stood before Brian Kemp and stated his case as clear as anybody could. Here again, his situation was not manufactured, but it was done and carried out under the leadership of our current Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp. Now, if you say that what I'm publishing now live on Facebook is my opinion, and if you say that I'm doing it to circumvent him from being elected governor of the state of Georgia, that could not be true, because I started this. No, let me back up. I started publishing this truth before we knew he was running for governor of the state of Georgia. All I wanted to do was to report what CNN, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, Al Sharpton, NAACP, and others failed to publish, failed to connect the dots so people could see what is going on under our republic in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now, this is one half of what I want to say. I'm going to get the east side of I-75 in a later video. So let me close out by saying to you, black people in Madison, Florida, with the Madison, Florida 9, Tina and those over there, went through hell and low water. That's in the state of Florida. And while we are dealing with Florida, I was also called to New Orleans, and I took a trip, spent 3 days down there with other people that were talking about the power of certain people to suppress the Democratic and the black vote. And so we are dealing with the Madison, Florida 9 and others across the state of Georgia, down to the Quitman 10+2, and from the Quitman 10+2 to Meigs with Linda Harris, from Meigs to Linda Harris to Camilla, Georgia with Mayor Rufus Davis, from Meigs to Lumpkin, Georgia with former Mayor Rufus Davis, with Charles Gibson and his secretary, Anaya Williams, and from Lumpkin, Georgia to Dawson, Georgia with Christopher Wright that was shot 6 times, and from Dawson, Georgia over to Clayton County. All of this has been over-documented, but not in the white-owned, white-controlled, and white-dominated news media outlets. And I am going to say to you, this that I have just spoken of was not manufactured. It is a reality that your news media here in America refuse to connect the dots to show a proven white pattern and practice to, number one, intimidate, suppress, stop, and remove blacks from office even after they are elected to office. And even more disgraceful is that most of these people were Democrats, which means that Du Bois Porter, who is the president or chairman of the Democratic Party, have not traveled to these places to ensure voting rights were respected here in the state of Georgia. So now that's enough on that. I want you to know the truth because I serve this nation. That's how I get on Moody Air Force Base to come out to Bays Lake today and hear the airplanes at this beautiful location. I'm able to come here because I retired. I did two commitments or assignments here at Moody Air Force Base. And so I'm here because I serve this nation. And because I serve this nation, I love this nation. I respect this nation. But what I have trouble with is all the retired military personnel that will not stand up for what is right to make this a better republic. Y'all have a nice day. May God bless you. And please understand I do this because I love you, your children, coming generations. And I want to see America. I want to see America move into the future. And so please don't say that what I've just mentioned was manufactured. It was not manufactured. It is the proof that something is seriously wrong here in the state of Georgia when it comes to respecting voting rights. Peace be unto you. Bye-bye. We're going. One other thing. That's YouTube, Boston, G.B.R. I have over 1,400,000 views, 3,400 subscribers, and truth. Keep marching on. Greetings, I'm George Buster Rhymes to Get to Free Press. It's October the 17th, 2018, and I am in front of the Valdosta Police Department, and I talked to McDuffie, the chief of police here, interim I guess. But anyway, the point is that on September the 16th, 2018, a local police officer was stopped by the Georgia State Patrol, and he was charged with DUI as well as failure to maintain lane. I was called anonymously by someone in law enforcement here in Valdosta, and I will not mention their name, but I thank God for police officers who respect the public right to know, as well as ensuring that the credibility of the police department is respected, because when something happens, they want it to get out to the general public and not be held in a state of secrecy. Now, if I may, I want to say that J.D. Rice was picked up some time back, and I went by earlier and I got a copy of the incident report and all that was releasable to the press, I was told. As you know, J.D. Rice was a retired fire chief here in Valdosta. I think he retired in 2013, I believe it was. I have been informed that his particular traffic violation will be going to state court. I have yet to be told why he is treated differently, but we're going to do our best to try to get to the root of it based upon what I do. Now, all releasable in the J.D. Rice case is a incident report that looks like this. It has nothing about the police officer or what took place. It just have just a one-page sheet, and I was told this morning that that's the way it's done. They can't release anything because there's an investigation going on, and therefore you cannot have that information. They say a law or something was changed in Georgia that they cannot give you the beef of what happened, but it seems to me that there should be something that the news media could come by and pick up that will give them more than this to give to the people before that individual goes to court. But as it is, there is no write-up. All you get is general information such as the name, the location, the date, the officer, and that type of thing. Of course, you get other stuff like race and date of birth, which I'm not going to give any of that. But this is on J.D. Rice, okay? But on this other individual that was picked up by the Georgia State Patrol by the name of Mr. Carroll, I went to the Georgia State Patrol. They gave me a copy of their incident report, and this is the way it looked. And I really can. I'm retired military, and I worked in many jobs in the military, and I worked with the OSI, Officer of Special Investigations. I worked with security police, even 2 tours of duty Air Force Base. And I just find it very un-American to not have some of what I guess the Georgia State Patrol produced me with yesterday concerning this unpublished DUI report. And by the way, I just left the Valdosta Daily Times. I gave them a copy of this. They say they didn't know about it, but I gave them a copy, and I'm going to see if they publish it, and I'm going to see if they pass it on to Channel 6, Channel 27, and Channel 10. Now, I'm holding this far away because I didn't blot out certain information, and I've been doing this a long time, and I try my best not to put people personal information on the internet. However, there's nothing on this page that is personal other than what the police officer wrote in the narrative, and to me, I don't see nothing wrong with that being released to the public. But as I was informed this morning, the Valdosta Daily Times only give you just a very small synopsis of what took place. And I was talking to a friend of mine in Atlanta that worked for a large newspaper, and he told me that they would give you a narrative of what happened, so you would have something to report. And then I went to another reporter here, a journalist here in Valdosta, and they told me that even the Lowndes County would give you more information than the Valdosta Police Department. But once again, Valdosta Police Department have a lot of accreditation because of the former Chief Childress, and so I respect the police department very highly of their professionalism. But at the same time, the people in this country are not aware that we are losing a lot of our rights, and it seems like too many of us don't even care. And it's kind of sickening as well as saddening, but what the news media, in my most humble opinion, if they are not careful, they are going to destroy their own jobs, because pretty soon the same thing that they are doing to little news outlets, they're going to happen to the large news outlets. And that means that the ones who got the big bucks, the one who control everything in the economic arena, will also be controlling the information that we get. Personally, I believe that it is indeed time for us to wake up to the realities of now. And the realities of now is you need to ask your children when they go to join the Marines, the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the Air Force, ask them, why are they serving? Why are they serving? If you don't have a right to vote without being intimidated, having your vote suppressed, having your great-grandmother being harassed by the Secretary of State investigators to the degree that the 84-year-old woman in Marvin, Georgia, said she would never, ever vote again because of the way that they are treating black folk and trying to keep them from the polls to vote here in the state of Georgia. Go to Telfair County and talk to Sheriff Christopher Stevenson, a friend of mine, and I do consider him to be a friend. He stood before the Secretary of State and talked about how they went in and got the best citizens in his community and brought them up on bogus voter fraud charges. And here again, you can criticize me because of what I do, and I don't have no problem with the criticism. But what I have a problem with is that when the American people go to sleep and just let people get away with what they want to get away with, and pretty soon we're going to be a communist nation, or we're going to be a nation of dictators, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves. Our children won't have any rights because we don't give a damn. All we want to do is go to church, holler, hallelujah, hallelujah, and hallelujah, but it's all gone. And what is more sickening here in Valdosta, I'm just saying what is true. We have elected officials that people vote in the office, and I'm talking black folk now. And then when you get in public with them, they act like they don't know you, or they act like you got a disease, or they think that you are against them, and it's not that way. But because they don't stand up for the people that put them in office, people lose confidence in the voting system. They don't even want to vote. And only person we have to blame is ourselves. Yes, ourselves. So once again, I talk like this because I'm getting fed up. I've been doing this type of work since '75, and I'm going to continue. I don't like doing this. People think I like doing this. I don't like doing it. But there's one thing about it, I love this country. And I remember in the military for over 20-some years, I had to, well, I didn't have to, but I chose to master it. And that was the code of conduct, and I know it now. Anything that I'm involved with, I try to know it to the T, and I try to follow it to the letter of the law. And that's the same way it is with the free press. When I go into the courtrooms, I've been in many courtrooms. I'm banned up in Toombs County Judicial Court Circuit for 7 counties, and I did nothing wrong. I'm banned from Lowndes County High School. Been banned for 5 years, and I violated no law. But you see, people just don't want people who going to tell the truth. They don't want people who going to try to build and make a better republic. They don't want people who are going to try to make it better for you and your children. Even the pastors don't get involved. Your doctors won't get involved. Your lawyers won't get involved. Your judges may not get involved. But there's one thing about it. Many of the tasks that we undertake out here in the name of civil rights and human rights, people won't get involved. They'll talk about you, but deep down they benefit. I remember when there was no blacks in certain areas of city government, we complained about it. We even complained about the Georgia State Patrol post right here when there was no blacks there. But if you go out there now, you see it more diverse. You see a lot of diversity in certain areas. We still have hardware stores that will not hire black people. But it's not because we haven't fought for it. We fought to get that blacks and poor whites can get some of these HUD dollars coming into Valdosta and Lowndes County. We have fought and still fighting for paving a road with DOT, that some of that money can be returned back to the black community so black young boys can see their mother and father giving them some of these dollars. And so the people who think that change is not coming to Valdosta, I don't know where you come from, man. But eventually, if there's a God in this universe, if there's a God in this world, if there's a God of creation, there is no way that Valdosta will remain the same as it is today. It cannot change. I don't care how many roadblocks and stumbling blocks they put up. I don't care how many people come out and deal with the race hate problem. It's just not going to stand. I believe the volume of sacred law. I don't play religion, and I don't play the ostrich head duck game, which is you bury your head in the sand and pretend that you're in heaven and all your backside is out and you won't stand up for nothing, yet you say you're a servant of Jesus Christ. I cannot find not one, I cannot find one person that God ever used that didn't stand up for something. And I'm not talking about in the 4 walls of a building, like on church on Sunday morning and Bible study on Wednesday night and bear meeting on Friday night. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about people who will stand up to bring in a better world, to help build a better nation. That's what I'm talking about. And when you see a liar stand up masquerading as a believer in God, calling himself a Christian, calling himself a Muslim, calling himself a Jew, calling himself a Hindu, calling himself a Buddhist, or whatever you may want to be. When you see a person doing that, but if they don't have no courage, no guts to stand up and be willing to die for what they believe in, as long as it is right, then you are going to be okay with God. And all these people tell me they know they're going to heaven. Look, let me say this now, I close. If I didn't stand up and try to fight for what I know to be right, I don't want to go to heaven. If I don't try to build a better road for my children, grandchildren, and coming generations, if I don't work for that cause, I don't want to go to heaven. No, I don't. I do not want to go to heaven. In fact, if all you can do is go to church, pretend, clap your hands, sing in the choir, give your 10 or 20% to be pumped up in the church and say you give big tithing, and don't get involved in nothing. And when they call on you because somebody been mistreated or killed, and you don't get involved in nothing, but you be to church all the time talking about how holy you are. Well, let me say this, and I'm going to close for sure. If I get to heaven, and if God allow you to go to heaven, and you don't stand up for nothing outside of a so-called building of worship, I got enough love, I got enough courage, I got enough dignity, I have enough self-respect, I have enough humanistic instinct that I'll tell God himself, I don't want to be in this heaven with people that I know wouldn't stand up for nothing. I don't want to be with you, God. I don't want to be in your heaven, and I don't want to be with these people that I know just said and did nothing. Could never go to city council meeting, could never take on no issues that brought about change in the real world, not in the hereafter. Yeah, I'll tell God that. I'm not being blasphemy when I say this. I'm saying it because it is the truth. And God knows it's in me. And so if I don't say it, he still know I'm lying. And so I'm going to tell you the truth. I'll tell God, I don't want to be in your heaven. Because there got to be another heaven and there got to be another God. I will tell him. And I will tell that God. I said, you might fool him. I said, but you don't fool me. Because I know that Jesus put his life on the line. Jesus stood up when he went to the pool of Siloam. Jesus didn't just go and stand in the church. Jesus stood up against Pilate, Herod, Caiaphas, and all of them. He stood up against the governments for what was right. You can't tell me that Moses didn't stand up. You can't tell me that Jeremiah didn't stand up. You can't tell me that Hebrew boys didn't stand up. You can't tell me that Jonah stood up, didn't stand up. You can't tell me anybody. Esther stood up. You can't tell me just because you play a game. One of the easiest things in the world to do in 2018 is to be a Christian, because all you have to do is to be the great pretender and put on a happy face. And a lot of people play these games until they get home. They put on a happy face in church. How you doing today, brother so-and-so? I'm fine. God bless you. Oh, God blessed me so good. God is good. And he's a blessing to my children. He's good. And you go right on home. And you catch hell. Look over that dang, those bills you got on your dresser, go right back in a state of depression. Because people don't tell you to create your business. Patronize businesses that respect you in your community. Don't give your money to stores that don't bring something back or donate in your community. When you begin to get that kind of teaching from the pulpit, then you can pull yourself up out of the pit into a level where you can help somebody else. Y'all excuse me. Have a nice day. I started out with the police department. I went to Georgia State Patrol. I went to the Valdosta Daily Times. I dropped this report off to them. I'm going to see if they report. I'm going to see if they give it to Channel 6 and Channel 10. And if they don't, I want you to remember something. I posted a video about what I'm talking about last night on my YouTube channel. That's Boston G.B.R. If you have a TV to have YouTube, just go to Boston G.B.R. and click on the scales and balance of my picture. It'll take you to the newest videos. And I'm asking you, I don't ask nobody to like it. I don't ask you to share it. If you want to, you can. I don't even ask you to just overwhelmingly be on my station. My station is for the people who want the truth. And everybody don't want the truth, because some people weren't born into the world to accept the truth. Some people were born to criticize. Some people were born to just cause havoc in the land. And some call me an outside agitator. And that's one of the highest honors, if properly understood. You see, Jesus was an outside agitator. The book tells you he was an outside agitator because he rode into Jerusalem on an ass. That means he came from the outside and he went on the inside. And not only did he go on the inside of Jerusalem, those who will accept him, he'll go on the inside of a wicked person and make them a better person. It will make them do what I have done. And I'm one of the least of all God's servants. I am not even worthy to be standing here today talking to you, but I love you just that much. And because of my calling and my being chosen and my being elected, there's nothing that I can do but what I'm doing it. And so as it is written, though we suffer and though we die, by the blood of the Lamb, we shall overcome. Ecclesiastes 8:8. No man has power over the spirit to retain the spirit. For this is the will of God. Not that you go to church, but this is the will of God. That you present your life, a living sacrifice, holy unto the Lord, which means clean and set free. Now y'all have a nice day, and I pray to God that you will become clean and set free, so you will be able to stand up for what is right without fear. For God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so whenever you find a man, woman, or child living in fear, afraid to speak out, if he's a police officer and he see wrongdoing and he don't say nothing about it, he is living in fear. He is not free. He is playing a game, and you cannot trust him. In fact, you better not trust him. And if your dad is a police officer, and if he don't stand up, you better not trust him either. Obey him, because the Bible says. But you better keep eyes on him, because my God, the righteous and holy God, said he did not give us the spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. Bye-bye. We gone. Greetings, I'm George Boston Rise on the Get To Free Press. Today is Saturday, and I want to chat with you again as I walk around and reflect upon the young girl I saw on Facebook the other day. And she was saying things that we adults needs to be saying, but we are not. Then I was listening as I worked to get Miss STACEY ABRAMS video up from the other night at Valdosta State University. I saw the powerful words of Kendrick Johnson's daddy, Kenneth, and it made me step out in my backyard to do a short video about Valdosta and Lowndes County, Georgia. And I agree with Kenneth that there is some strange black people in Valdosta and Lowndes County, Georgia, and in the South, period. Too many black people are afraid to stand up for what is right, although they proclaim to be friends of Jesus Christ. Jesus stood up. God always stands up. And the true servants of God stands up as well. You don't find where God used a coward nowhere in his program. So to Kenneth, I want you to know I agree with you, my beautiful brother. And in the death of your son, it is indeed a disgrace to all the educators at Lowndes County High School who know what happened to your son. It's a disgrace for Lowndes County to have an all-white male Board of Education that ignored me for over 5 years now. I was put under a criminal trespass following the death of Kendrick Johnson. I guess somebody figured that I could not be bought and sold, and that if the students came to the Get To Free Press, that I would report the truth, and they were right. Because I'd report it, man. I can't understand how black and white right people who know what's going on in that case, but they don't say nothing. And regardless if we never get justice here on this planet, justice will come. And these children who are silent will grow up, and they will want their conscience freed. Yeah, they want to be free. You can never be free as long as you know something about the Kendrick Johnson case, and you just sit, say, and do nothing. You can run, but you won't get away. You may never get tired, but you will not get away. There's something about this thing that God ordained, that you have a conscience. And it's going to eat away on you, man. It's going to tear you down. It's going to let you understand that what you thought you hid going to fall upon your own children. You're going to find your children deformed And black folk, we don't strike out at white people like they strike out at us. God just take care of business as he always did. And so you gonna reap, man. You gonna look at your child and you gonna look at your own family members. You ask a question: what's going on with my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren? And God gonna remind you of what you did, but you didn't stand up for justice. You didn't stand up for what is right. Why do you think people's bodies breaking down now? Because of what they did back in the 1500s and 1400s against the darker skinned people of the planet. Why do you think the tornadoes and hurricanes come the same route of the old ancient slave ships? That's not by accident. Galatians 6 and 7 say, for God is not marked, for whatsoever man sows, that shall he also reap. You can run. You don't have to get tired. But you're going to pay according to Scripture. Yeah, man, you're going to pay for what you do in this world. Some things you're going to pay for you didn't even do. But in the final analysis, you're going to reap what you sow. I'm under a criminal trespass. Been under it for 5 years and a few months. You don't see me getting angry with nobody. But I continue to talk about West Taylor. I don't know how they can keep West Taylor over that Lowndes County High School. It just beats me. I don't know how they can keep him there. I don't even see how an all-white board of education can exist in Valdosta and Lowndes County. I just don't understand it in 2018. Man, before I came here, I heard about a good old boy system here in Valdosta and Lowndes County, Georgia. And I got here in March of '75. I was stationed at Moody Air Force Base. And James Demps had been shot in Washington, next to Washington Funeral Home down there in Quitman. And you know what I did? I was in my 20s then. God put something in me that I don't know what it is. But I refuse to be a coward, number one. The old ancient black man say, I'd rather be buried in my grave and go home to my God and be free. I don't mind dying for a cause. People ask me all the time, Rhymes, why do you help people that don't even appreciate you? They ask me that quite often. They say, why don't you take care of your business? My yard right now need cutting. I'm going to get it cut. I've been working yesterday and today on STACEY ABRAMS' visit to Valdosta, and she don't even know it because I am not even with her. Well, I'm going to vote for her, but the bottom line is I want you to have the truth so you can make a balanced decision based on the information that I already have. And the information I have is that Brian P. Kemp ain't worth 3 cents when it comes down to trying to serve the masses of the people, and even worse when it comes down to trying to represent black folk. And I have the documented proof from Quitman, Georgia, all the way up to Warrenton, Georgia, and back from Warrenton, Georgia, all the way back to Homerville, Georgia. I have it all documented. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, Nightline, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, Attorney General Sam Olin, Eric Holder, President Barack Obama. All these people I have sent video with the assistance of Joseph Lowry, Tyrone Brooks, Jesse Jackson, representative out of Atlanta, the attorney, Charles Steele, the late Senator Robert Brown. We sent all this information up to Washington, D.C. and the Congressional Black Caucus and the NAACP, and they didn't do nothing about it. And so now the Democrats want to talk about it's the Republicans. I blame Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, but it's not his responsibility alone. We have went across this nation to let people know what they are doing to black folk, trying to stop their vote, number one. Number two, they intimidating the elderly folk. They are suppressing the vote. Got people so scared they won't even go in there to try to assist their own mama, grandmama, and great-grandmother to vote. And all these Christian ministers, all these Islamic imams, and all these rabbis in Judaism playing this religious game. Now you wonder why I don't go to your mosque? Now you wonder why I don't go to your synagogue and your churches? Because the God I serve is not like the God you serve. Your God can let you sit in church and say hallelujah, hallelujah, and hallelujah. And you got your doctorate divinity degree. Now it's time now to tell the truth. That young girl a few days ago that I saw on Facebook crying to these tears is because I'm tired of seeing y'all shoot my two children down. We want to live just like you. When I watched that young girl a few days ago cry out, and we grown behind Negroes, black people, grown adults can't say nothing. We got to have children to tell our story. You know the story better than your child, but I saw that young child crying out on Facebook saying, put the gun down. How many preachers do you know stand up public and say, put your gun down? I'm not talking about in four walls of a church. I'm talking about publicly on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or your gram. Y'all excuse me for raising my voice. I'm going back.